What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expedia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expedia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expediausa.com for more. Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to Advice from a Call Center Geek, the podcast where we discuss all things call center. If it has to do with your call center, about your contact center, we're going to try to cover it. We're going to try to give you some actionable items that you can take back to your center, improve your associate quality, and hopefully improve the customer experience as well. My name is Tom Laird. I am the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing. We are a 500-seat BPO contact center outsourcer located here in the States in Erie, PA. And I want to thank everybody again for joining us. We have a little bit of a different genre, I guess, than what we've been kind of focusing on, where we've in our first 4 or 5 podcasts, we've talked about, some specific items to improve the center. What I wanted to do with this one was maybe switch it up and get a little variety and give a talk or turn a podcast from a talk that I gave at the NICE incontact user conference, which is what they call interaction. So I gave a talk on 10 ways to use technology and some best practices to disrupt your contact center. So I thought that would be a great topic to turn into a podcast as well. So I've added some things to it from my talk. So I wanted to get into that today. So before I do that, I wanted to just kind of tell a quick story. Thought it was kind of funny. So this was my first time presenting at Interaction. I've given a bunch of talks before, but never at the NICE incontact show, and that's who we use for our telephony is incontact. So, as a new presenter, I'm sure they didn't really know what to expect. So I was given the time slot on the third day. There's only 3 days in the conference, so it's the last day. And it's also the last time slot before Jay Leno comes out. Right? Jay Leno was the keynote speaker. So I'm also given the room. It was called, I'll never forget it. It was called Canary 3. And I just kind of laugh at that because I thought to myself, oh my gosh, isn't the canaries, isn't that the bird that they put in the cave to make sure that the people don't die from carbon monoxide poisoning? So I'm thinking this is going to be a disaster, right? On the last day, I'm right before Jay Leno. People are going to want to get a drink. They're not going to want to hear me go talk about disrupting their call center. And they put me in this, kind of far off room, really not knowing what to expect. But me being the shameless self-promoter that I am, I pushed it pretty hard on all the social media that you could do there at the conference. And lo and behold, we had over 150 people in a room that probably held about 120. So people were standing at the back. I was kind of shocked, but it went off awesome. And I've received a lot of feedback, even after the talk, and then, through email and through some correspondence with some of the people who kind of listened to it and took some value. And then I took a lot of value from them as well. So we've kind of had an exchange of ideas and where we think the contact center is going and some really cool things that some of the people who listened and were at the show, are doing in their center too. So I just thought that was kind of funny, but I wanted to kind of get into this. I think it's kind of cool, some of the things that we're doing in our contact center and some of the things that we're starting to see in the industry, and wanted to present some of that to you. So 3 main takeaways that I wanted to kind of get through with this in this podcast is, one, how to talk about how we can disrupt your contact center with technology. I'm going to give some real world examples of how we're doing that. This isn't, you got to pay, $500,000 for a new system, but just some really cool things that are out there that I think, might pique some interest. Number 2, how to disrupt your operations. I want to give you some of the best practices and more of an overview format than kind of drilling down that we've done in some of those other podcasts. But I think that can be kind of helpful. And then number 3, just some ideas for changing your contact center overall for the better. And these are more philosophical things, things like your culture, how you educate. So the 10 things that we're going to discuss, just, they break down into those 3 categories, which are, technology, operations, and then ideas and philosophies to change your center. So the first disruption topic that we want to discuss is, everyone out there that's listening to this, it's 2018. It's time to disrupt your channel offerings. Stop pushing your customers to a single channel. I'm talking to you, tech company. I'm talking to you, startup. I'm talking to you, company that thinks that you're Google and that you can get away with just doing email or chat service, and most of you guys are doing email. I would say that there's 2 reasons that companies do this. Number 1, they don't know how to do a real customer support program. Number 2, they're too lazy to do it. You're going to tell me, no, Tom, that's not true. It's cost. And I'm going to say you're crazy if cost is the reason that you think you can't support a customer service program, because number 1, you're losing out on an opportunity to instill brand loyalty in your customer. Number 2, you're losing out on the ability to engage your customer in a positive fashion. And number 3, for those of you guys who want to use that cost excuse, there's opportunities for cross-sell and upsell. And I will tell you that the majority of the customers that are in our call center that we do customer support for, we either instill or start, or a customer has an upsell, cross-sell opportunity that, when done properly, turns this customer support, which we give world-class customer support, into an actual profit center. So if you don't know how to do that, maybe you need to look to outsource, but you can't be a really good service-oriented company, no matter what product or service you're offering, if you're just doing a single channel service, and most of the time that's not even voice. The technology out there now using the cloud is so good and so inexpensive that, again, that doesn't make much sense. You can do a customer support multi-channel to omni-channel platform with voice, chat, email, social, all those platforms all tied into one for $250 per seat per month. So if you have a 5 to 10 seat, you're a startup with a 5 to 10 seat customer support program, that's not a lot of money, especially when you're doing it right with a cross-sell, upsell. You're going to make money on that and be able to offer world-class support when done right. So I hate that. I hate the single channel. I think it's penny wise and dollar foolish. And if you don't know how to do that, then shoot me an email. Let's talk, because I think we can help you make some money and also improve your customer experience. Number 2 is to start to utilize the newest technologies in self-service. Well, that doesn't mean self-service by itself, but you need to be able to offer your customers a very easy way that they can do basic tasks without talking to one of your agents, right? So when done right, it's an awesome channel. When done wrong, you get that bad IVR that I'm sure a lot of you have out there, that your companies do, that you've added over through the years and years, and it's now just this giant monstrosity, right? So that's bad self-service. But some of the newer technologies are starting to get into the chatbots and starting to get into the AI. When I say AI, I know a lot of you cringe. So don't freak out about AI. I don't think the technology is there to totally take anything over yet. A lot of people say that they have it, but they don't. We have been in the space for a while, since the beginning of this, and I still have yet to really see the full bore AI that I really trust. But I will tell you that I do love the chatbots. And I think that using your mobile device to be able to text and to really act like you're talking to another human, but you're really talking to a kind of a virtual visual IVR that is a chatbot is really super cool. Now, I know a lot of you out there are like, I don't know, these chatbots, I keep hearing about them. I'm doing research, but we don't really know if our company, what they are. And really a lot of companies are confused about it. It's, I liken it to the rise of chatbots, kind of what companies were doing with social media and social media response 5 years ago. Do we really need to do it? Is it going to be a real channel? I think the chatbots are. I think that they are a really, really cool way that you can do things through mobile devices to do real basic tasks, such as, bill date changes, password resets, account balance checking, basic troubleshooting. Not to plug, I didn't do this podcast to just totally plug Expedia, but if you go to expeviausa.com, on our homepage, we have our own chatbot. The cool thing about chatbots too is that you can name them, you can give them personalities. He has no AI, right? So his main task is to take you down a path so that we can send you out some marketing material or some white papers, things like that. But the technology is there, and again, for 10 grand, for 8 grand, you can develop an integrated chatbot on your platform that can handle a lot of the tasks that a lot of your agents do, and they can. What is very important with this, and it's the missing piece that a lot of companies do, you need to seamlessly integrate it then back into your call center, so that if you need to talk to a customer needs to talk to you, that you can do that. The third way to disrupt your contact center here in good old 2019 is something that if you've listened to any podcast in the past here, and I say in the past, we've been doing it for about 3 weeks, but is to disrupt your call center culture. It's episode 2. We did a full episode on call center culture, evolving it, making sure that you understand what yours is, hiring out of that as well. I'm just going to, kind of gloss over this. If you want to dig deeper into culture, check out that podcast episode. But let me ask you a couple questions. One, can you describe your call center's culture in one sentence? Like if I said, hey, what is it? Could it just roll off your tongue? And most of you cannot do that, which is understandable, because I don't think a lot of companies can really explain that well either. Why is your call center culture important? And I would just say that it really is the working plan that kind of ties everything together. It's how people interact. It's how they talk. It's what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And when done right, and it funnels down to your associate level, it's a really powerful tool that actually differentiates you from other centers, and it can differentiate you from other companies as well. I will also say that your corporate culture is not your call center culture. Because what happens in finance and what happens with those types of things might be different than the type of customers that you have and the way that you want to interact or the voice that you want to give to that. So those are some things to think about as well. To give you the example that I gave in episode 2 at Expivia, we have our culture is a sunshine attitude with an entrepreneurial mindset. And I know that sounds like a lot of maybe gibberish, but it really boils down for us to attitude and effort. So we don't hire on experience. Experience is about the 10th or 11th thing that we look at. We don't promote our top sales or service people unless they fall and have those 2 pillars of giving us great attitude and great effort. So again, we hire, we incent, we promote off of our pillars of attitude and effort. That allows us an advantage. So when we bring in a client, when they see our call center, we know what type of people we have. They can see what type of people we have. And I think making sure that you're hiring not just the best call center rep on a resume or piece of paper, but hiring the right person based on your culture is really important. And it's really important for your customer experience as well. So again, I don't want to dig too deep into that, as I did a full 15, 20 minutes just on culture and hiring the best customer service reps. So check that out if that's something, but that's something that can disrupt and totally overhaul your customer service. The fourth topic, disruption, that we want to discuss is disrupting your education, disrupting your training model. Technology, which we've kind of focused on here early on, is great. It's important. But at the heart of your service enterprise is your agents. And the amount of time that you put into those, I don't want to call them assets, but they are a valuable asset, your most valuable asset, is really going to be a huge differentiator in how you do things. So, when we consult, again, a lot of the issues that we see is a lack of education. Do you have ongoing weekly education? How do you get information out to your associates in real time? Are you focusing more on process or technique? And what I mean by that is, when you educate, do you tell your reps where to click and why to click? Or do you show them how to talk to people, why you're doing this, making sure that you're engaging, that every single time that you're role playing, there's a tone, because the tone is the message. What are you making sure that is the most important pieces of it? What are you emphasizing? So a couple things that we do to try to help you with this. And again, we did I know we keep saying this, but we did a podcast again. If you want some help, it's actually been the most viewed or listened to cast that we've done on education. But one of the things that we do is, we do an agent analysis program at Expedia, and our agent analysis program, and this is something that you can implement in your center too. And if you want more information on it, let me know. But it's a 15-minute weekly review with our supervisor in kind of a quote unquote chill atmosphere, right? We talk about things that we call holdbacks, right? Things that are holding the associate back from being successful or, advancing in the company, things like, coming in late, dress code issues. Yes, we do have a dress code. We're a little old school with that, but anything an associate can control that is holding them back, that is related to attitude and effort, because remember, those are our two pillars of culture. We talk about goals, weekly goals, daily goals, but really, where were they on that kind of week to date metric that we've given them for whatever KPI or whatever attitude or effort goal that we've given them. And then, we talk about progression. And progression can be how to advance in the company. It could be how to advance to another company. Maybe this is a college kid who is going to school to be a programmer and they want to do that, maybe at Expedia, or they want to do it somewhere else. We're going to try to help them do that, not just to kind of keep them, where they are, but try to help them move down the road. We also do weekly education with all of our associates outside of this agent analysis, where we pool each of our associates on every single program for 1 hour. And we work that in with our workforce management to talk about more soft skills, right? How to speak, making sure that we understand that there needs to be a smile on their face, that we're delighting. Not so much actual program training, but those types of skills to make us, what I believe, a little bit better than everybody else. But that's something that you can do in your center too, to really enhance your whole operation. And then, you need to really look at your initial training onboarding. Are you just, again, training the program, role playing, and then putting your associates on the floor? Or are you kind of training them how to do the job well? You're training them how to delight, how to do those kind of soft skills that we've kind of discussed. What kind of cool things do you do? Do you graduate them? Do you high five them? Do you onboard them onto a team where they get introduced to everybody? Or do you just kind of throw them out on the call center floor? And if you do that, I bet your turnover is not very good. So there's some ways to really look at your education and how you're doing training and how you're onboarding your agents and what type of fun that is as well to kind of get them to stay and to kind of change the culture of what you're doing. Number 5, disrupt your QA, right? Disrupt your quality assurance. So this is kind of cool, and this is a technology piece and something that we've done that has really enhanced everything and something that I think people need to look at. So right now you probably have a QA team, and their task is to quote unquote catch those associates doing something wrong or even maybe doing something right. Right? You probably have some type of algorithm, and we call it an algorithm, but it's basically just a quota, right? So we want to get 3 or 4 or 5 calls scored per rep per week, based on some criteria. Let me ask you a question. What if you had the opportunity to listen to every single call that your agents handle? The cool thing is that's available now with advanced speech analytics. So speech analytics, and we use Nice Incontact's analytics platform. It's revolutionized how we do QA. The QA staff is no longer looking for quality issues. That's the analytic program's job. So we now focus on things that reps are saying or certain keywords that aren't being said or are being said. We can focus on sentiment, so we know if customers are calling in ticked off. We can kind of look at the keywords and find out why. We can see if we have an agent, right, that's using a tone that they shouldn't be using. We can catch that right away, not just randomly, hopefully, trying to listen for it. So that's really cool from a QA standpoint, but we also get a true voice of customer. So we can understand specific keywords that keep coming up on each call. Phrases like, maybe a client just launched a new program but the phrase too expensive keeps coming up. We can look at and say, hey, 36% of your calls yesterday on your new program came back with a customer using the word too expensive or the phrase too expensive. So you guys might need a pivot on your price points. We've also seen, hospitality clients where we've had broken elevator. They didn't know the elevator was broken. We were actually able to tell the hotel that, people are calling us because they're ticked about that, which is kind of funny, but really cool. So we can give you real time or we can, and then, with speech analytics, you can give your company real time marketing data. And again, one of the cool things is, we've always tried to figure out how we can incent attitude, right? Because again, attitude and effort are our culture. So using sentiment reporting has given us a way to incent attitude, and we actually pay our reps more if they have positive sentiment. So I'm paying you to be in a good mood, which is cool because now we can actually do that. So that's a really cool technology that's out there that just keeps getting better and better, but it's good right now. And we're using it for pretty much 100% of our inbound customer support clients, and we can do that or everyone can really use that for chat, email, and voice. So number 6 is disrupt the actual physical workspace, right? And this is also known as stop being boring, right? How many of you just have centers, right? You got your rows of booths, everything's kind of sterile. You got a couple, maybe you got a wall that has the motivation for the week or the month going on it. I will tell you this though, and this is a quote from Tom Laird, myself, show me a quiet contact center floor and I'll show you one with higher turnover, lower quality, and more importantly, one that reflects that associates are not enjoying their job. And if they're not enjoying their job, how are they going to do a really good job with your customers? So you got to have some games. You got to make things fun. It's got to be a loose atmosphere. And I don't care and this is a culture thing, I get, but I don't care if you're a financial services company, if you're a tech startup, it doesn't matter to me. I think there can be relative levels of fun, no matter how conservative or how liberal your company is. So, every single day in our call center, every single supervisor has to have a game from one of the 150 games that we have in our book to play on their team. So actually I'm looking at my notes here, there's 156 games that we have. Everything from real basic things like golf and mini basketball, things to get the associates off the phones for a little bit to go do something, to the human board game, to Battleship and Hangman. And again, I'm going to plug another podcast. The last one we just did, which was episode 3 or 4. I gave you 20 to 25 of my favorite games and kind of a little bit detail into what those consist of. So again, have some fun. Everybody here knows what our associates can go through on a normal day. So to be able to have a little bit of fun in the call center, I think is super important for morale and something that you can definitely do very easily to disrupt your center. All right, number 7 in our disruption topics here is disrupt your middle management. Do you currently have a solid management training program? Are you just pulling reps right off the floor that do a good job and put them into a leadership role? A management training program not only enhances your center, but also shows career progression. And the cool thing is it instills traditions and some really kind of cool culture things that you can do in your center to make it a little different and to make people kind of strive to get to that level. So when you become a management trainee here at Expedia, and this is just an example of just some of the things that we do. We do uniforms at Expedia. So our management trainees and our management have uniforms. We then start to do weekly meetings with our management trainees, and these meetings consist of leadership. How to really instill attitude and effort, confrontation handling that arises on their team. A lot of legal issues, sexual harassment, what can be said on a battery or a team, and how to do motivations. And then, we talk about how to do incontact and how to monitor and those types of things as well. But, a lot of you guys have team leads. Well, we use our management trainees as our team leads. So if a supervisor leaves or they're not there for the day, the management trainee takes over that team. So once we feel comfortable that they kind of have a good idea of what we're looking for from a culture aspect, we talk about how we start the day, the first 30 minutes, and kind of those processes and procedures that we've talked to in the past on some other podcasts. We give them a final test. They actually take an oath, right? So we're trying to instill traditions, and then we have a graduation, and we have kind of a party for them, and they don the red jacket, right, and they become a supervisor. So I think it's really important that you promote properly, you promote the right people, and then you train the heck out of them so that they really do a good job. Because the middle management, they drive the whole call center even more than the senior leaders do. It's your middle management, and when they're strong, your whole call center is strong. All right, number 8 is disrupting how you start your call center's day, and that's kind of a good lead into what I just was talking about, which means your supervisors need to dominate. and I'm saying dominate their team's first 30 minutes. So whether you have an inbound center where you have an outbound center, it doesn't matter. Even on the inbound centers where you might have people coming in every 15-minute interval, the first 30 minutes needs to be run and kind of dominated by the supervisor to start the day the right way, to motivate the proper way, to give the goals, and to make sure that that associate is ready to do their job. So, and again, I'm not going to get too deep into this because I just did, the last podcast we did was on, this actually first 30 minutes. But number one, I believe as a culture thing that your call center should be loud, that there should be music playing, that it should be fun, especially for that first group of reps that are coming into the floor. Number two, and I can't stress this enough, and I might use this in every podcast, but you need to welcome your reps with enthusiasm, right? So all associates are greeted with a smile, with a high five, with a handshake, with some, just, hey, Janie, how are you doing today? We're making sure that we're kind of taking the temperature of our team, and we're making sure that, we're building a relationship, because I love the phrase and the saying that, rules without relationships equals rebellion, right? So we can't just be there and, hey, get in your seat and you do this. We have to make sure that we're talking to people on a personal level as well. And then we're going to take the time, we're going to recap our team goals, we're going to recap some individual goals and set them off, making sure that they understand what they need to do for the day. And then, we're going to talk about what our motivation is, how we're going to have fun today. So again, take a listen if you're interested in that. I go pretty heavy into detail on how we do that, but I think it's really important to starting the day. Number 9, disrupt your KPIs. Every one of us, we're all in the great chase to justify what a world-class customer experience is. So what we do is we use metrics, and so many companies confuse KPIs and call center metrics in their struggle to say what a world-class customer experience is, and those metrics are wrong, right? We keep moving the bar. So, depending, and we see this with a lot of clients who say, service level is the most important thing. And if your service level is here, then we're doing a really good job. Here, AHT is really important. Your voice of customer score is the most important. So these metrics keep moving, and we keep losing track of kind of what's really important and what is justifying a world-class experience. So what I will say is that when I did this talk, I talked a lot about NPS, right? And Net Promoter, and how, it can quantify the customer experience a little bit more. I'm going to say that we've advanced beyond that now. And the agent and customer sentiment reporting from our speech analytics, I believe, is the best way to show a full, breadth of picture of your customer experience. So when we start with a program, we see what percentage of customers call in with a negative sentiment. So let's just say, we have a high negative sentiment of 52%. So 52% of your customers are calling and they're already ticked. It's not even the customer service agent. They're ticked about something else, right? And that's the cool thing about NPS, is that the NPS looks at other things as well. We're going to then look at the keywords. We're going to look at what your customers are actually saying. And maybe it's your website, maybe it's your self-service, maybe it's your IVR, maybe it's some of the reps. And we're going to come up with a plan for you to drill down on those things, which might be even outside of the call center, or at least give you the tools that you can do that. So when you are just focused on SLA and hold time, the only thing you're focused on is the call center rep. And I don't think that you can really justify a world-class customer experience when you're just looking at those. Those metrics should be used to diagnose and put service issues and techniques under the microscope for what you're doing, but I don't think that they're the goal. The goal is to have a zero negative sentiment customer. And if you're doing that, which nobody is, that should be the goal. So think about that, and think about what you're really measuring, and what the importance is and what is important. All right, last but not least, but disrupt what you already have, right? So a lot of these other things are different processes, procedures, but really take a look at the software that you have. Take a look at the telephony platform you have. Are you really using your dashboards? Are you using all the tools that you have available? Or is it just kind of like, well, if Susie my boss doesn't tell me about it, I'm not going to really dig into it. Dig into all that stuff. The technologies that are out there now that you probably have that you probably don't even know about are crazy, that you're probably paying for are crazy. The cool thing about, Nice incontact or Five9 or one of these cloud telephony guys, and especially nice incontact, because that's what I have the most experience with. We have established client portals, right? So a client can see real time every single thing that's going on in our center for their program, right? So security profiles just give them that data, so they can see agents, they can see service level, they can see HT, they can double click on an agent, put their cell phone number into the portal, and have that call ring to their phone, so that they can do live monitoring anytime. All those things are available, kind of off the shelf. In our center, we've kind of made it look cool. Our supervisors, they have tablets, wireless headsets, to make sure that we're getting as many agents monitored from our supervisors as possible, that we can walk and we can talk to them. Because I hate when people are just stuck at their booth and they have their head down in their computer. We don't want them out on the floor and interacting. And then, if you have flat screens, if you have computer monitors, use those things. We use Intel compute sticks that are basically just little HDMI plugins that go in the back of the TV that turn it into a computer. I don't need any wires. No other computers are needed. They cost $150, and it can turn a TV into a computer, and it looks awesome. So there's just real, kind of basic things that you can do in your center from the technology that you have now, that maybe you just got lazy and kind of got comfortable with. So make sure that you kind of take a peek at that. So, I have a final quote here that I kind of like. Remember, even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Now, that's a quote from Will Rogers. So you need to evolve. You need to evolve your center constantly. You need to disrupt your contact center. You need to make your customer experience change and evolve. You need to make the workplace that your reps are working in better all the time. So if you're just sitting there, your reps are going to see it. They're going to get complacent as well. So, make sure that you're looking at, again, your technology, your operations, and your education and your culture, and constantly trying to evolve those three, I guess, main dynamics. So, again, thank you very much. I hope that this helps. We, again, and I always kind of say cheap plug, but we do have a book. It's called Advice from a Call Center Geek. It's on Amazon. It's super cheap. It's like $2 for a digital copy, and I think it's like $8 for a paperback. And also, please check us out on social media. We just started our Twitter account, and it is at handle. You ready? It is at @from_geek. Wasn't a lot to choose from, as you can probably tell. And also like us on Instagram with a little bit more normal name, call_center_geek. So Call Center Geek. We'll be posting just some bonus material on Twitter all the time, and on our Instagram feed as well. The last thing I'd like to do is please, if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the podcast. Also, if you like what we're saying, if any of this has been helpful, please post a review, preferably a positive one. But, I like to thank everyone who has, we've had, 25 or 30 people as of this, this recording, post some reviews. We've had a lot of subscribers that I know of. So, again, I'd like to get the word out on this. I don't think that there's really another contact center or call center podcast that hopefully will touch the subjects that will hopefully help you guys on. So, again, thank you very much. We're going to continue this at the 1 to 2 of these coming out per week for hopefully the next 8 weeks, and then we'll probably back it down to 1 a week. But if there's any topics or anything that you'd like us to talk about, research for you, or discuss on how we're doing some of those things, please let us know. Again, my email is tlaird@expivia, expivia.net. Find me on LinkedIn as well, and you can find me on any of the social media feeds. So again, thank you guys very much, and we will talk to you here in a couple days.